Hello, welcome back to my channel, Checks, Captures, Threats. Today's episode 66 of the Chess Guide, will be going over staying calm after mistakes. So, in this episode here, I'm going to be showing you a game from the Rapid Increase I played, the most recent one, and how I made a mistake here, but in the end, I'm able to capitalise on that, and in the end, I get a draw because I was able to just about stay calm. In the video you might saw, it was a little bit annoying losing it, but I still played on and I was able to get a very nice draw out of it. Very lucky in the end, but we'll go over it today. So, without further ado, let's just get started. So, I'm going to use the game view here. Now, d4, straight away, obviously I'm trying to play a London here, as I like to do in the learn the openings. You know, I'm always trying to do anything like that. Now, g6 is played, a little bit different, but I can carry on with what I'm doing. It's not affecting me at all. So play these moves, I get the bishop out. Now, straight away, c5. Now here, I know that if you ever play something like this, with these moves here, they're going to play this queen move. So I usually do this to counter it. Now he does play the queen move, and here I decide to play queen to b3. Now why do I do this? Now, I could have played queen c2, but I wanted to be a bit aggressive at the start here. I didn't like how he had his queen out immediately, staring at this pawn, so I wanted to attack it and see what I could do. So this move, if he captures, I don't mind the open rook here. So instead, he brings his knight out. They say the other knight out was probably better, but I don't think it really makes a difference here. They wanted me to push here. I felt I'm just playing the London. I want to carry on my London. They now get the knight out. I now get the bishop out here. So this is, in my opinion, was quite a nice move. As we can see, it's quite obvious what I'm trying to attack now, as I've got a nice little battery on this pawn. And after this knight fork here, technically, really the best move is his queen a4, or even a queen trade now. Now, this is actually a mistake, as we're going to see why in a little bit here. So, the king moves out of the way. Great move for them, as it is. Now, I try and take queen here, thinking this will work, because after they capture, I can just bring my queen back, my bishop back down here. But actually, they can just capture, and I lose a rook. And then I'd have to do this to protect the knight. So, I'm losing here completely. So, what I didn't see is I got completely, I was like, oh my god, I'm just losing a rook now, because they can always play this knight move. What I didn't think of is I actually saw this at the time, this pawn move. Now I thought, oh well, he still has this, because he's attacking this rook, and it's the same thing. He captures, I lose this. Wrong. I could actually just capture with the bishop. I forgot completely about the bishop. So I played knight to d2 here, completely giving up the bishop, and now he can capture, and I'm now playing the pawn move a little bit too late. So, I've made my mistake. I'm 2 points down for knight for a pawn, or bishop for a pawn, and what can I now do? So, what I'm doing here is, annoyingly, in a position like this, you kind of have to trade off, or not have to trade off, but you kind of have to, you're going to have trades that you can't stop, so you just have to live with it. But, stuff like this, I'm forcing their pieces away, and I've won another pawn here. I'm actually only a pawn down now. It's not the worst, it's just that the pawns I have are very weak and not really pushed. Now, he brings his knight out into a very nice square onto this. I castle, just giving up the pawn. There is, again, not too much I had here, but also he decided to capture this instead. He wanted to trade off pieces, and now I'm double pawned. I'm double pawned. I'm now 4 points down, and looks all lost for me. He can capture this pawn now with his bishop, and I have to play a rook move to try and attack it, and I've lost another pawn. And all of that was forced. I'm now 3 points down again. I'm pretty much just a piece down here. So, the only good thing about this is you're going to see about this bishop being the piece up and how we was able to use that. So we get our knight out now into a better position. They say this one, we're trying to aim for the same sort of spot. They bring the pawn out so we can bring our rook to help for the knight. They bring their rook away, probably not the best position to put it. We create an escape route, as we should. They bring their rook to attack this pawn. We obviously now are going to cause some sort of attacks here. Now, we kind of do just give away this pawn, but obviously what we can do here is take. We obviously do not take with the pawn here, otherwise we lose here. The reason we take with the rook is after this, we actually can take here, and now I'm not in the worst of positions. As something like this, we play this, and there's going to be a whole lot of checks going on. Anyway, after that, they play e6, stopping that whole threat, and I bring my pawn up. So now I've got not the best pawn structure at all, but I'm not in a complete losing position. He tries to trade off rooks. I obviously say no to that. And now he's going to put double pressure on this pawn. I obviously protect it as kind of forced to. They say we could trade rooks here. I don't like it. But here, let's look at the main thing now. What can we do to get this bishop out as black? Nothing. Both of these pawns can't push because we will always take them with en passant or not. So we can now just march our king up. And as we see here, we can't push this pawn. I was looking at that a lot, but they can just take here. So we get our king up, and now they're causing a few threats here. I'm forced to really trade in this position, but I do not mind that at all. And now I'm really in a horrible pawn structure here. Nothing's connected. I've got double pawns, all isolated, and one of them's right on the H file that's never going to promote. So it's not that good. So I just push these pawns, trying to lose some time. Now this is the big blow here, as it's a good move, but obviously he has to sacrifice a pawn with en passant. Now, he plays a bishop attacking move here. Now I really could have played a move like that, attack this pawn, but instead I play this attacking this bishop still. Now this is where we're now dead even. We was 4 points down, but we're now up, or nearly up even. And they're trying to attack this pawn, but they will never get it. So we play the great move of rook to b4. Now the reason is they has to put this back here, almost. After a check, that doesn't matter because I have to protect this pawn, only move. Now, he has to give up that bishop. So now, we're dead even. I'm attacking this pawn, forcing it to go to d5, and I'm not in the worst of positions. Now, that's the main part here. I've come up here. Now this is where you're going to see a little bit of where I make another mistake, but luckily get back into it at the end. So obviously I've protected this pawn and I'm able to get a little movement on my king. Now I'm going to try and attack any of these pawns here. We make a very nice move here, and we're just getting a few checks. Now the main thing is I make a big mistake soon, as all I had to do was actually push this pawn. Instead I play rook to e8, trying to attack this pawn, kind of giving up on this. So I'm now 3 points down again. And what you'll see here is the reason why, and it's because I just can't do it with this pawn here. I'm struggling, and I will not defend it after this check. I can play a check and I'll lose it. So now I'm 2 pawns against this, and here you can see immediately I lose this pawn. Now the main thing here is what happens next. Is I play this. He very smartly sacrifices his rook here, but he plays the wrong move. He should have played down here, and the reason is that now I play king to f7, he pushes this, and now this move forces a draw, because he has to take, and we get a draw. Now if we just go back, the way this works is if I do this, now he can actually push, and I will now be losing here. So that is the game here. Now what I was trying to show you was that first part really, and how we was able to win that piece back when we got all the way up to this sort of section where we're drawing. Now I was able to get to that purely because I was losing, but I was able to persevere through, and I was able to get that draw in the end, and I was able to gain a few points from it. So even a draw here gained me a few points, and I was quite happy with it. So that is it for today's episode. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and hopefully this makes you learn that if you lose a bishop or a knight, don't just resign immediately. You never know what might happen at the end of the game. Now don't get me wrong, if you're playing a bullet or something, that might be okay, because it's a bullet game, it's 1 minute each. You might, someone might blunder a queen. But, the classical sort of side of things, if you're over the board and you lose a bishop or something, it's going to be very difficult to win it back. But you've just got to wait it out. Patience is key. So hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. So thank you, and bye-bye.